Welcome back to another edition of the Walker Valley Football Coaches Show, sponsored all season long by Wholesale Supply Group. They're open to the public. Big week this week. It's McMinn Week, Region Championship Week, ultimately for your Walker Valley Mustangs. I'm Andy Morris along with Jacob Mason and Walker Valley head football coach Drew Akins. Coach, glad to have you with us once again.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be back. It was a nice bye week. Really enjoyed the bye week. I think we did it right by our kids too. We got some work in. But really rested, recovered, got healthy, and ultimately we're going in as healthy as we could possibly be. We obviously have some season-ending injuries that we're dealing with, but ultimately, right now is about as healthy as we can be going into this game, which is where you want to be going into a region championship game. So really excited about that. Really good for our coaches and our players to be able to rest and recover last week.
Coach, if you could, just for a second, before we dive into our season schedule, you talked about getting guys healthy, and I know you gave some of the guys days off, and you worked in, really it sounded like a full workload while condensing your practices as well.
Yeah, it's always kind of a weird thing, especially, and ours was unique in the fact that we were week 10 bye week. That doesn't happen very often. Normally you're looking at 6, 7, 8, and we've always done a really good job being able to schedule it, around our fall break. So, this year, obviously it didn't work out that way. With Pure having to move their game up a week, it made for a late bye week. And those late bye weeks, you got to kind of get the feel of where your team is. And we just felt like it was really important that we got a couple days to jumpstart McMinn County and work on them. But ultimately, we've been going for 12 straight weeks. So, trying to find a way to make sure our kids know what's coming this week, but also allowing them to rest. So we went out on Tuesday and Wednesday, gave them Thursday, Friday off, gave them Monday off. So really, I feel like because we did that, we got their full attention this week. And, there's also the concern if you go 3 days last week, they start losing focus on this game. So we gave them just enough that they know what's coming this week, but we kind of held some stuff back. That way we could work it this week and keep their attention. I think ultimately keeping their attention is going to be pretty easy with the game that we got coming and the opportunity that we have with a win. The things that we can accomplish with a win is really important. So I think keeping their attention throughout the week is going to be fairly easy.
Yeah, perfect timing, in my opinion. Jacob and I have talked about it for a bye week with a game that has so much on the line. If you win, obviously, you're region champs. If you don't, then you're still looking at going into the playoffs in a decent spot as that 3 seed, but that's something that's not the goal, and you've talked about that all year long.
Yeah, and when you look at our schedule and kind of how we got here, the path to get here was not the cleanest path. And ultimately, when you drop a region game like we did, you're not guaranteed to be in this position. So we're lucky to know kind of where we're going to be going into this. Last year it was like we win and we'll see what happens. This year we got a pretty good feel of what we have going on. If we win this game, we're the region champ. There's nothing we control our own destiny when it comes to that. If we lose this game, we're not going to be the region champ. Now, whether we finish third, which is in the scenario right now, third is what we can be. We'll go through that here in a second, but ultimately we know exactly what we're going to be going in this last game, and that's unique. But like I said, the way we got here was kind of unconventional, and when you look at our schedule, and I think we're going to pull that up here in a minute, when we look at that schedule, we really never got in a good rhythm until as of late. And right now we're on a 3-game win streak. We're playing pretty well, especially getting Dosen back and seeing the confidence that he brings our offense. We've been running the ball much better these last 3 weeks, which ultimately that's what we build our team around. And then all year long, and I know you're going to talk about this, all year long we've played really good defense. Our defense has been really special this year, and we've had no drop off from last year to this year. We're averaging 14.3 points per game. I think Coach Henderson and Coach Dunbar and Coach Huey and Coach Carson have done a great job on that side of the ball. So super proud of what those guys have done, and they've kind of kept us in some ball games and allowed us to stretch out leads to make for comfortable wins. So ultimately, we're playing really good football right now. We've got to have to play our best game of the year this Friday night.
And, of course, Coach Akins will be doing his film portion in the second segment of the show. But real quick, shout out to Mr. Ethan Evers and his assistant back there, Gavin Strickland, for getting us some really neat graphics today. So those of you that are listening on the radio, you can check out our graphics by going on Facebook and YouTube to the Walker Valley football page, also WCLE Mix 104.1's page as well, and you can catch all that. So, Coach, you talked about the season recap. They got a great graphic for us here. Kind of looking back, getting to this point as you talked about, let's just kind of talk about that journey a little bit. Obviously, week one starting off with a pretty controlling win against Notre Dame.
Yeah, when you go through that schedule, the first two games kind of eased us into the year. I think they do a really good job of kind of letting us figure out who we are in those first two games. And then the Cleveland loss is one that we thought we played really good for three quarters, and obviously kind of crashed at the end. And there were some circumstances in that one that I wish we could go back and do differently. But ultimately, they won the ball game and won in convincing fashion. But then getting our first ever win as during my time, being able to get Bradley win over them was obviously big for our program and big for our energy. And then, the Ottawa win and getting into region play, losing Dawson and, losing that Ray County game, that one hurt. And, just because didn't feel like we as coaches put our kids in the best, situation to win that ball game. And obviously there's outside circumstances with losing Dawson that late in the week, but ultimately we've got to prepare our guys better than we had them prepared. But since then, man, I think our team has played really well. You look at the scores, and the scores are fine, but really what I look at is the way we're playing the game. Curley did a great job coming in and leading us through Howard, getting Dawson back and playing East Ham game the way we played it. Really, the score doesn't show how physically dominant we were at the line of scrimmage that game, and ultimately that's what won us that ball game. And then the way we came out against Pure, the way we came out of the gates against Pure, not letting them get off the bus. That's what we talked about in the pregame. Don't let them get off the bus, and I thought we did a really good job of that throughout that game, and that's all kind of led us here. And again, we're in a situation, we're about to look at region standings. We're in a situation where we have an opportunity to go win the region, and that's the ultimate goal. That's what you want to do. It sets you up for the playoffs. So we're through that schedule. I found a way to get to this point where we have that opportunity.
Yeah, Coach, I know you touched on this a little bit, but, looking at that schedule and seeing it, there's so much emotion in the first half, right? Not a whole lot of region play or anything like that, but just big games, the Cleveland game, the Bradley game. Then you move straight into region play, and then you have this bye week. How do you just kind of turn the mind off for a second, or how do you keep your guys engaged with all of that? Because that's such a long stretch, an emotional stretch, and then you get this break. How do you keep them geared going towards obviously the ultimate goal?
Yeah, I think as coaches, you got to be really smart about what you're asking your kids to do each week. On weeks that you can take it off of them, you got to take it off of them. You can't crack the whip every single week and expect them to make it to the end of the year. You can't go, full speed, full tackle every day in practice and expect them to get to the end and be healthy. So I think we did a good job as a coaching staff setting our kids up for that kind of success. When we could take a week off, when we could take it off of them, we could go helmets only on a Monday. We took those opportunities. If we need to just thud this week, we got so many injuries throughout the year that some weeks, hey, we're not tackling the ground at all this week. We are thud all day, every day for this week. And we were just smart about when we need to pull the reins back or really let us go, let loose in practice. And our kids understand the way we practice. I think that's a product of the program we built. Our kids understand, hey, we're full live right now, or hey, we're thud only, or hey, we're two-hand touch. Like we do some days where, hey, we're just going to thigh board and let us run. So being smart about what we do, protecting our teammates, those are things we talk about all the time, and ultimately that allows you to get to this point, like I said early in the show, and be as healthy as you can possibly be. Obviously, we got a couple broken bones and a torn ACL, there's nothing you can do about those. But when it comes to the nicks and the bumps and the bruises, I think we've handled this season as a coaching staff really well. We've geared it up when we need to gear it up in practice. We've taken it off of them when we can take it off of them in practice. And really it's allowed us to get to this point where ultimately I feel like we're playing the best we've played all year. We're more confident up front. We're more confident at quarterback. And it's kind of led us into having this opportunity against a great football team in McMinn.
Yeah, I want to give you a second to brag on your team as well. You look at that schedule and how hard it is and all the emotions and everything. Your team also has a GPA of what, 3 point?
Yeah, 3.5.
3.5. Yeah. And, to keep a 3.5 while doing that, while working and, all that stuff, I think it speaks a lot to the kids that you have in the program.
Yeah, listen, man, we've just kind of set a program up here, and the program is not built around football. It's not built around scheme. It's not built around winning ball games. It's built around growing young men and making sure that when they leave here, they have the best opportunity for success. The game, obviously, I believe, teaches you the things that you need to know, the character pieces that you need to have in order to be a successful young man, adult, husband, father, those things, employee. I think the game can teach you that, but also setting them up for success for when they leave here and they want to go to a trade school or they want to go to a college and they understand what it takes to do those things. So we're very serious about academics. We got our guys in tutoring all the time, and for the group of guys that we have to be coming out here with a 3.5, it means a lot. So they work really hard. Miss Barnes does a great job with our academics, and ultimately, they bought into a program that we built. And I think the fact that we built a program like we built, that's not just about football, but it's also led to wins in football because of the way we built it from the top down. So our kids have bought into that. They understand it. They know the expectation. And it goes back, like we always say, set the standard. Where's your standard, and are you living to that standard? And this group has done a pretty good job of trying to reach towards that standard every single day.
Coach, talking about the standard, when you look at the region standings, the Mustangs currently are setting that standard on the gridiron, leading the region right now. Listen, it's been a up and down road, as you said, with the injuries. Obviously, that Ray County game is one that you would like to get back. But I kind of look at this in comparison to last year. That East Ham game was that same kind of, hey, let's wake up. This game, obviously, we want to win it. But it's kind of that wake-up call to say, hey, when we get to the playoffs, we're going to get this thing rolling. And I feel like you do a great job, your staff does a great job making sure that you're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, ultimately, that's the ultimate goal is you want to go into that last game and then to the playoffs playing your best football. I feel like 2 years in a row now, I feel like we're the best version of ourselves going into this game. So when you look at the standings, I mean, what sticks out to me initially is just points for, points against. We're tied for first in points for. We're leading. We're first in points against. So anytime that number is what it is there, where you see that kind of discrepancy, that kind of tells you that we're doing a really good job making sure that we're scoring more than the other team. Again, our defense has played so well throughout this season. And then in the region, you see a three-way tie at the top. But ultimately, we control our own destiny. We got the 3-1. If we were to win and go 4-1, we hold the tiebreaker over East Hamilton. So if we win, we'll be the 1 seed. If we lose, we're the 3 seed. And it doesn't matter what happens in that other game. If we lose the game, if Ray County wins, they'll be the 2. We'll be the 3. If East Hamilton wins, East Ham will be the 1, and we would be the 3. So ultimately, we've got to handle our business. We can't worry about what that other game is. If we win, we control our own destiny. But really proud of what that looks like and what that graphic shows. Just the ability we've had to go score some points and hold teams down like we have. That leads to a lot of opportunities to go win ball games.
Yeah, once again, the Mustangs, we talk about the rankings as well coming into this week, the final regular season week of the season, big region game, going to decide a region championship against McMinn. The Mustangs are coming in the Tennessee Sports Writers Association poll at 8 in the state in Class 5A. That's a big deal, and as you pointed out, those points for and points against, you got to keep in mind that's also with 2 pretty solid 6A teams on your schedule as well.
Yeah, and then listen, and you're not allowed to do this, but if you take the the Cleveland game, that's a big bulk of those points too, and and obviously a big bulk of those points were in the fourth quarter. So ultimately, I wish we could go back and replay that fourth quarter and do some things differently, but we're not allowed to do that. So ultimately, being where we are, sitting 7-2, having an opportunity to win the region championship, we're right where we want to be. And then you say, that being ranked 8th in the state, when you look at those rankings, where other teams are in the state, it puts us up. We're the number 1 ranked 2-loss team in the state. So
getting some respect.
Exactly. That just shows kind of the program we built and the name brand that we built. People recognize that name brand, and obviously what we did last year kind of leads into that as well. But just the number of teams that are 9-0 or 8-1 ahead of us, that speaks a lot to the quality of program in 5A. When Knox West is ranked behind you at 6-3, best. I told Gavin earlier, probably the best 6-3 team in the state, no matter what classification. They're still a really good football team. But to be in a position where we're finishing the season and we've been ranked most of the year, kind of still tells you what people think about our program. So really proud of that, really proud of our program, but ultimately none of that matters. It's the whole rat poison thing that Lane Kiffin says. Ultimately, we got to go win this game to set ourselves up to make a run here in the playoffs.
With that said, the respect has been earned by you and the Mustangs. So, again, big game this Friday night. McMinn County Cherokees making their way to the Valley here at the MAC for what's going to decide a region championship for your Walker Valley Mustangs. So be sure, tune in to Jacob and myself on WCLE 99.1 for the live pregame broadcast starting around 6 o'clock, and kickoff will be at 7 o'clock. But we encourage you to come out to the game, bring your radios with you, and definitely listen to us for that broadcast as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. And when we come back, Jacob and Coach Akins will have what's became a pretty popular film breakdown.
Back to the Walker Valley Coaches Show. I'm Jacob Mason, joined by Coach Akins. Coach, favorite part of the segment, man, getting to break down some film and going to get to see a lot of touchdowns in this one.
Yeah, let's dive in. We got some of our touchdown plays that I wanted to show through and kind of how we scheme things up. And really, ultimately, in this game, we wanted to be our base offense. So we didn't want to show a whole lot. We didn't want to do some of the stuff we've been working on for a few weeks. We're trying to keep it, as clean as we could play while just running our basic offense, and we're able to do that.
What section of the menu is that?
When you say menu, we have a top section of the menu. It's your All-American breakfast. So you're looking. I'm not necessarily saying, hey, we're not going to run power. Our powers are our only run of the night. It's, hey, we're not going to run our tricks off power, or we're not going to run our screens off power.
Gotcha.
We're not diving into, every play essentially has the base run. You have a screen off of it. You have a play action off of it. You have a different run blocking scheme off. So everything has like a tweak off your base. So ultimately on Friday we wanted to run the base.
You just ate a plain burger.
You
left the toppings off.
Yeah, just cheese on it.
Gotcha.
That's ultimately. We didn't put the sauces on it. So, and that was kind of the goal on Friday. And like I said in the first segment, ultimately on Friday we wanted to go out and just not let them off the bus. They weren't able to get there until 6 o'clock, and that's unfortunate. Driving through Chattanooga traffic, I get it. We had to do it the week before with Howard, or 2 weeks before with Howard, but we talked about, hey, they're still on the bus. Like, mentally, they are still on the bus. Don't let them get off. And I thought our guys did a great job, coming out and scoring, getting the ball back, scoring on 6 straight drives to start the game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we've ever done that since I've been here. So really proud of that, the way we handled that first half. But first touchdown of the game, I'm going to show it from the drone shot because it's the best shot in football. Base offense. So we talked about, getting Roman into that. This is script. This is on our script. I think this was probably our 4th or 5th play in the game. So this is the playoff script. We're going to burst across the face with Javen, and what you'll see is What we're trying to do there is we're just trying to get movement. So when we go across the face like this, we're just trying to get movement from these linebackers just enough to where we can make blocks. So Tate does a great job as always. Tate was our player of the game. Thought he played really well. 4 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown, but ultimately just blocked so well throughout the game. But what you'll see is Tate gets a great block, but you see what that motion does to them. That motion kind of brings those backers across, and you can already tell we're going to get a U-turn here, and we're going to hit that thing about right there. So great job by Roman. He's such a physical runner. Makes contact at the 5, pushes his way in. I love seeing that. Look how many guys are pushing him into the end zone. Great start to the game. I love that start to the game. I'm going to bump through some of these. So getting into the second quarter, these are some big-time plays that I thought we did a good job. The play right before this, Tate actually had just caught a flat route. This is another way that we like getting into the end zone. So what you've seen a lot of lately, and I want you, this will kind of give you some inside knowledge, is these bunch sets that we've been doing. These bunch sets have been really good to us, man. Being able to find different ways to get guys into the flat and really attack, but also what it's done is we're using this to create run block hats, being able to get to safety and outside backer instead of blocking corners where you don't need to block them, right? So we're now leaving corners and putting ourselves in better position to go make some of these blocks. But what happens is you get them all focused on the interior. You're able to slip out with Tate. Tate does a great job slipping out. He's got great hands. You saw throughout the night just his ability to catch the football and make a play after. He does a great job of just kind of slipping through too. It just feels like he's unknown, slipping out there and able to make those plays. This is a great run too by Javen. You know, we've talked all year about how well Javen's played and really been proud of him and what he's been able to do. So the drone shot again, we're just running base power. Again, we're very basic offense here. We're going to gap hinge. We're going to double team to the backside backer. We got an extra hat for the backside backer. Pulling for the front side. Tate does a great job here. Again, crushing that down. So we call this escape. So this is the one time that our guard's allowed to go around is if there's not a clean path there. He's just going to skate around and get the outside shoulder, which allows Javen at that point to get on the edge. And when Javen gets on the edge, he does a pretty good job. This move right here, the missed tackle, cut back across, that's something Javen hasn't done. That's really cool to see. You know, him turning a play into an explosive play like that is awesome. And then these are some of my favorite, these last two. You know, when teams get in our face, we're really good at receiver, I feel like. That's one of our best position groups. And when somebody's going to get in our face against Hudson, if somebody's going to get in our face against Roman, we've got to go win those battles. And our receivers have done a great job this year going and winning. You can see Hudson slips it immediately, is able to get that. I think corner is the hardest position in high school football. So we're going to attack these guys. That's what we love to attack. We love trying to put pressure on defenses and make them play the whole field. And you can see there right before halftime, able to make that play. And then this is our chance to brag on our puppy. All year long, Luke's played a bunch of football for us. I know you know Luke pretty well. But Luke's done a great job, and for him to go make this play, you know, obviously Curly puts a good – his Curly's deep ball's been really good here since he's gotten that game under his belt. So for him to put that ball out there and then Luke double covered, go high point of football and be able to run and go score, really impressive play. That kid has a big future here for us. We're excited about what Luke's going to be able to do in the next 2 more years with him. So really excited about Luke and his ability. But that's a big-time play by a sophomore, going and making that play. So really proud of Luke, really proud of our team and the way we responded in a game that didn't bring a ton of atmosphere on its own. I thought our guys kind of brought the atmosphere and did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a dominant night for sure, a night that a bunch of guys got a bunch of reps as well. That second half, you really got to get some valuable reps against. I know they didn't. The depth was the issue.
They didn't have anybody sub, so
they were going up against 6'6", 320-pound guys. So it was definitely valued experience for sure. But Coach, as always, thank you for breaking down film with us. You can catch us this Friday, big game, region championship on the line here at the MAC. You can listen to us on Sports 99.1. Thank you for listening. Go Mustangs.